Sup, dude? Raw Dog Johnson is one of the most important pieces of NBA history. Back in 1979, he literally saved the league from going in the toilet. Before he got drafted, the NBA wasn't very popular. Playoff games weren't getting aired live, half the league was railing lines of coke, and dudes liked to fight, giving it a violent reputation. Its future looked grim, but in 1979, when Magic got drafted, things started to change. The 6'8" point guard was like nothing anybody had ever seen. Big fella was a floor general through and through. His handles were tight, passing was even better, and he loved to play fast. Those things, combined with the fact that he was one hell of a leader, brought him success right away. That success allowed him to have sexual relations with around 300 women a year, and he rarely ever wore a condom. No wonder he was always grinning ear to ear, showing off all 73 teeth in his mouth. That damn smile lit up a room like a Modern Warfare 2 flashbang. Unfortunately, his sexual adventures would end up backfiring later when he got HIV, but still, the dude was fine. He had superstar written all over him. That star power, along with his legendary beef with arch nemesis Larry Bird, put the National Basketball Association back on the map. It was kind of like what Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are doing to the WNBA right now. The difference is those two don't have beef. Magic and Bird wanted to kill each other. Their deep hatred for one another all began in the 1979 NCAA Championship. Magic's Michigan State Spartans faced off against Bird's Indiana State Sycamores. The hype for this game was crazy. They were the two best players in the country and drew over 35 million viewers on TV. Sadly for the hick from French Lick, the lights were a bit too bright. He bricked 14 out of his 21 shots and turned the ball over 6 times. Magic also had 6 turnovers, but he shot 8 for 15 from the field and scored 24 points, leading the Spartans to an 11-point win in their first NCAA championship ever. Larry was sick. After that, he didn't speak to anyone for months. Meanwhile, during those same months, Magic was on the top of the world, probably going around raw dogging everyone's moms and sisters. The dude was only a sophomore, but he'd accomplished all he needed to in college. He was the projected #1 pick, and lucky for him, the team that owned that pick was LA. That was some great news. You know, it's not data breaches. There have been a lot of them recently. Big companies like Dell, AT&T, and Ticketmaster have all been hit hard this year. Dell had 3.9 million customer records exposed, AT&T had 2 breaches affecting a total of 11.5 million people, and Ticketmaster saw 560 million records compromised. But honestly, the scariest breach of all came from National Public Data just a few months ago. This one's alarming. It compromised 2.9 billion records, which means basically every American's personal info, including social security numbers, is out there. And to make things worse, hackers actually released all that sensitive information online for free. Your personal data might already be floating around on the web. That's a scary thought, which is exactly why I'm excited to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Aura. Aura helps protect my personal information and keeps my digital security locked down, protecting me from situations like these. Aura monitors billions of data points, including the dark web, and lets me know immediately if any of my personal information has been compromised. They even cover you with up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, which is a huge relief in case the worst happens. Aura offers a ton of useful features too. They provide real-time alerts for data breaches, a VPN for safe browsing, a password manager to keep your login info secure, and they even give you the ability to opt out from data brokers who might be selling your info. I'm not leaving myself or my family vulnerable to these data breaches, and neither should you. Head over to aura.com/NBAGoober to start your 2-week free trial. That's more than enough time for Aura to look and see if your data's been exposed. Trust me, you'll want to know. Big thank you to Aura for sponsoring this video. Anywho, to nobody's surprise, the Lakers picked Magic with the first overall selection. You may be asking yourself, what about Larry? Well, Larry actually got drafted by Boston with the 6th pick the year prior, but instead of starting his NBA career, he went back and played another year in college. So in the 1979-80 season, the two mortal enemies embarked on their NBA careers together. Magic's first season went nearly perfect. He averaged 18 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2.5 steals, made the All-Star game, and led the Showtime Lakers to 60 wins. Larry was statistically a smidge better and won Rookie of the Year, but Magic got the last laugh. He took Showtime all the way to the finals to face off against Julius Erving and the Philadelphia 76ers. Through 5 games, they led 3-2, but Kareem got injured and was out for Game 6. This put all the weight on Magic's shoulders, but he stood tall. LA started him at center in replace of Kareem, and he ended up pretty much playing all 5 positions for the rest of the game. Being a 6'9" unicorn, he excelled, dropping a ridiculous 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists, leading LA to their 7th ring ever. It was one of the greatest finals moments of all time. As a result, he was named Finals MVP. This was unheard of. A rookie had never won that award, and spoiler alert, nobody else has since. The Lakers were basically set for the next decade, and so was Magic. As a result, his career had an endless amount of highlights and accolades. Over the course of 13 seasons, Magic won 5 NBA championships, 3 Finals MVPs, and 3 regular season MVPs. He's third all-time in career assists with 10,141, and I swear 10,140 of those had never been done before. It's also important to remember that this was in an era where defenses were allowed to be a bit more physical. Magic was getting roughed up every night, but you wouldn't know it from his demeanor. Dude was smooth, always smiling and making plays that left a wet spot on every lady's seat. He was the face of Showtime. They were fast, flashy, and feared. With Kareem, James Worthy, Byron Scott, and many others all playing their parts, it was straight basketball ballet. After that first ring, Magic led them to 4 more in 82, 85, 87, and 88. Every one of those trophies had Magic's fingerprints all over it. In the 1982 finals, Magic claimed his second finals MVP after putting up 16 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals, leading the Lakers to a 4-2 series win over Philly. This was great, but he wanted to beat the Bird. Just a couple years later, in 1984, he finally got his chance to. The Lakers and Celtics both made the finals. It was everything literally everyone at the time could have hoped for. The long-anticipated battle, to nobody's surprise, ended up being historic. It was a complete slugfest from start to finish, going back and forth all the way up to Game 7. Magic and the Lakers were right there, but a few costly mistakes, including Magic dribbling out the clock in Game 2, shifted the momentum toward Boston. The media didn't waste any time, dubbing Magic Tragic Johnson after his big goof. Larry Bird, on the other hand, thrived in the chaos, calling the Lakers soft and leading the Celtics to a Game 7 victory. Bird took home the Finals MVP, and Magic left praying for a rematch in the future. Lucky for him, that prayer was answered. The rematch came sooner rather than later. The very next year, in 1985, Magic got his chance for redemption, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. The Lakers had never beaten the Celtics in the finals, and that bitter loss in '84 still hung heavy over Magic and the team. But this time, Magic wasn't about to let history repeat itself. However, the '85 finals started with a disaster. In Game 1, the Celtics absolutely destroyed LA by 34 points in what became known as the Memorial Day Massacre. Things were looking extremely grim for Magic and the Lakers, but they managed to bounce back. Tragic led the charge with his typical poise and playmaking, dishing out dime after dime, and Kareem turned back the clock, playing like he was 10 years younger. They completely turned the series around, taking down the Celtics in 6 games. 38-year-old Kareem won Finals MVP, but Magic was no slouch, averaging a ridiculous 14 assists. Magic finally got that monkey off his back. He beat Bird and the Celtics on the biggest stage. That victory was a defining moment not just for Magic, but for the entire Lakers franchise. For decades, they had been haunted by their inability to beat the Celtics in the finals, but that ghost was finally laid to rest. Despite the success, Magic wasn't the type to just settle. He wanted to keep stacking championships and show everyone that he was head honcho. Fast forward to 1987, Magic had reached the pinnacle of his career. He won his first regular season MVP, averaging 24 points and a league-high 12 assists per game, and led the Lakers to a 65-17 record. The Showtime train was chugging. Magic was the engine that made the whole thing run. And once again, it all came down to another showdown with Bird and the Celtics in the finals. This was Lakers vs Celtics Round 3, the Revenge of the Sith. By this time, Magic wasn't trying to prove himself anymore. He was trying to cement his legacy as one of the greatest to ever do it. And he ended up doing exactly that. Game 4 of the series gave us one of the most iconic moments in NBA history. Magic's junior skyhook. With the game on the line, down by 1, he drove it in the lane and launched a running skyhook over the outstretched arms of Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. The ball swished through the net and the Lakers took a commanding 3-1 series lead. That shot broke Boston's spirit. Magic and the Lakers went on to win the series in 6 games, and Magic took home his 3rd Finals MVP. At that point, there was no doubt in anyone's mind. He wasn't just a great player, he was one of the greatest players ever. And just when you thought he couldn't top it, he led LA to back-to-back titles in 1988, beating the Detroit Pistons in a grueling 7-game series. It was the first time a team had repeated as champions in 20 years. He had led the Lakers to 3 championships in 4 years, and his ability to dominate the game with his vision and leadership was unmatched. The Lakers won a 5 rings in the 1980s, solidified their place as one of the greatest dynasties in NBA history, and Magic was at the heart of it. But as much as his career was defined by success, it took an unexpected turn in 1991. Just as he and the Lakers were poised to make another run at the title, Magic made the shocking announcement that he had tested positive for HIV. It was a bombshell that rocked not only the NBA, but the entire sports world. At that time, there was so much fear and misinformation about HIV, and many thought it was a death sentence. Magic retired immediately, unfortunately leaving the game far too early. He had so much more he could have done. But in typical Magic fashion, he didn't let the diagnosis define him. Instead, he became a symbol of hope and a trailblazer for HIV awareness. He used his platform to educate the public and break down the stigma surrounding the disease, showing the world that it was possible to live a full, healthy life with it. Magic made an emotional return to basketball during the 1992 NBA All-Star Game, where he was voted in by the fans and ended up putting on a show, scoring 25 points to go along with 9 assists. He was named the game's MVP, and the moment when players from both teams embraced him on the court remains one of the most memorable ever. It was a powerful reminder of everything Magic had meant to the game. And let's not forget the 1992 Olympics, where Magic was part of the legendary Dream Team. Alongside fellow GOATs like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Charles Barkley, Magic helped lead the US to a gold medal in dominant fashion. It was the perfect capstone to a career that had already reshaped the game of basketball. Magic revolutionized the point guard position, showing that you could be big, fast, flashy, and a floor general, paving the way for dudes like LeBron and Luka. His creativity, vision, and leadership redefined what it meant to be a floor general. He was far more than just a player. He was the face of an era, and he brought joy and excitement to the game in a way that nobody else could. He was greatness. And speaking of greatness, if you liked this video, check out my video on Dwayne Wade, the best player to never win an MVP. And click here to watch the video I made on him. Thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed. Bye, dude.